What's up, Vape fam? Today we're taking a look at the TFMT, Top Flow Mega Tank from Vaperz Cloud. This is another 30mm tank from them. They had the VCMT a while back here. We'll take a look at the way they stack up together. We'll just set this down over here. But there's a few key notes, big differences. One, obviously, it's considerably shorter. Two, it is top airflow, and it's a little bit different the way you want to set up your coils, the way you want to wick it, so on and so forth. So I'll show you that now. So we go up close for the breakdown to see what makes a vape. Alright, here we are up close with the TFMT from Vaperz Cloud. So the packaging it comes in, it's a little bit different than some of their other ones, which are usually just black boxes. It's a Vaperz Cloud on them. Features, TFMT, contents, Vaperz Cloud, Vaperz Cloud, and Vaperz Cloud. It's just a lift top box. Inside you've got your goodie bag. Now this one has grub screws in it instead of the Phillips head screws that are in here. And it comes with a key for the grub screw, a little Torx wrench, coils, gaskets, more gaskets, so on and so forth. You have a second chuff cap. I'll show you that in a second. Extra piece of glass, and the tank itself. Now there's no extra goodies in here, so that is all of it. Go ahead and put this to the side. And here is the tank. Now there's some really interesting stuff going on here at the bottom. There's no etchings, no engravings. It's just this really interesting little design that they decided to use. Protruding 510, no problem. Mine was a little bit loose, so make sure you double check yours, make sure it's tight before you put it on anything, put it all together. Starting at the top here. Now, grab this, 510 tip. It will fit into that hole, so if you wanted to extend it more, you can. This black piece, I have not found a way to get it out without damaging it. And since the ID of the bore is 510, I'm guessing this does not come out and get replaced with 510. This just unscrews. It doesn't hold on there by much, so make sure you don't over tighten it, make sure you don't cross thread it. It only takes a couple threads there, as you can see protruding from the top. So that's it. This is interchangeable with this Delrin chuff cap. You have to push it down a little bit, twist it on, make sure it gets firmly seated like that. The next piece to come off is actually the airflow ring, since it is a top airflow design. As you can see, it goes through there, comes out down here, and that's about it. There's some knurling on the side, some places to grab it, twist it on and off. Something to note as we move on to this next section. This does have to line up with those airflow slots. So depending on how you put this on, and it does spin when it's on there, it's not part of the thread system. This is actually an AFC ring here, so keep that in mind. So if it feels too tight for some reason, spin this around a little bit, try and find where it lines up a little bit more. Next we have the top cap, I suppose we would call this. This will come off like so. You also see that there is a fill port here, double O-rings here, and the airflow slots, as well as the chimney slot. It's got a nice little lip, fits down inside this gasket. Make sure you get it wet before you try and cram this thing down in there, or it will possibly tear the gasket. The next piece that comes off is the glass. There is an O-ring, a gasket on both sides. Go ahead and remove this one because it's just going to get in the way. There we go. As I said, it does come with an extra piece of glass, so if you break it, good news. The next thing that comes off is the chimney and the deck cap. Now, this is two pieces here, so you can actually unscrew this. There you have your airflow slots that come down into the actual deck, the chamber. It is gasketed here, and there is also a gasket on top. So there are a lot of gaskets to this. Make sure that they're always in place and you won't have any leaking issues. If you do have leaking issues, definitely go over it. Each piece, make sure the gaskets are still there. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. This is threaded all the way up, I think. Is it all the way up or does it stop just short? Yeah, it is one continuous thread all the way up through there. They also have the serial number on there now, along with the Vaperz Cloud symbol. And that brings us to the deck. Now, it is a 4-post deck. It is an interesting design. Again, because this is a really thin bottom piece, it feels weird in the hand. But this is actually a really well made, really hefty piece of metal here. You have your Phillips head screws, and like I said, it did come with grub screws, so you could swap that out if you would prefer. These are actually your wicking holes here. As you can see when I put this chamber back on, there's not much revealed there. Okay? I'll show you how to wick it here in a second. First I need to put a build in it. Other than that, it's a really nicely made unit with one or two exceptions. Let me see if I can find them. This piece is really well done. There's good knurling on it. There was one piece that had just a little bit of sharp edges, and it was here, right around the top of the chimney. There was just some burrs in here. They weren't bad. It was just a little bit rough around the edges there. That was really the only place that I had an issue right there. There's a little bit of grab. I'll have to double check that before I put it all back together. But for now, let's go ahead. I'm going to put a build in this. We'll wick it up and we'll go from there. Alright, I've got some 6-wrap fuse Claptons. These are 24 gauge cores and 32 gauge Clapton. The cores are Kanthal. I like using Kanthal for cores because I like to keep my resistance a little bit higher. And the, why are you locking up on me like that? And the 32 is NI90 from Mad Rabbit. So put these in, snug them down. I want this screwdriver. I want this screwdriver. So then we're going to have to move them around a little bit, push them over. That'll work. It's not perfect, but it will work. And then we'll take the second one. I'm going to snip the leads a little bit shorter just to start with because it's a 4-post. Line them up like so. See how much I got to trim off? A little bit more. Also need to trim this lead here, like so. Sorry, I've got the camera really zoomed in so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and the tiniest movements kind of just take it all out of off screen. Finagle it in there. It's still too long. That's what she said. I'm just going to worry about trimming down this middle one because I can trim the outside lead here after it's mounted. So the middle one is in. Let's tighten it down. Now the outside one, we're going to try and get this 3mm through here, like so. And then squeeze it around a little bit. That's about where I want it. So now we're going to tighten this down. Like so. I'm going to come over here, That's a horrible noise, I apologize. Push this over. I think that's pretty good. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking here. 0.14, I'm okay with that. Put this on fire mode. Got my ceramic tweezers, which have seen better days. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Work out these hot spots. Get them both glowing the same. Should get them pretty close. We got some color on them. They still need a lot of work. Okay, I'm going to finish getting these hot spots out, and then we will go to wicking. Got it glowing nice and even. Got a chunk of cotton right here from the cotton candy collection. Again, try this stuff. It's awesome. Pull a piece off. Show you how I wick this up. That's not enough. That is probably too much. That is definitely too much. Hold on. Okay. So got our cotton, we're going to twist the end. Feed it through. I just want it a little bit snug in there. I don't want it super tight. Just a little bit snug. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down, and there's this ridge here, like where the threads meet the top of the deck, right? I'm going to cut it there. Maybe a hair longer than that, but I use that as my guide. It's really hard to do this backwards for the camera. Now, screwdriver. Tuck it in. Again, really hard to do this backwards for the camera. So I'm cheating a little bit and peeking at it. And then on this side. This is much easier to do if you wet the cotton a little bit, by the way. Like that. Try and get it to kind of hang down to the bottom of these little channels here, these little holes, and you'll have an easy wicking solution. It just works. It does. Make sure you don't use too much cotton. I'm very guilty of that myself. I do it all the damn time, especially with new RTAs that I'm still getting used to. I tend to over wick them, and it cuts down on the flavor a little bit and blah blah blah, but it cuts back on leaking too, which makes it handy for the first time I wick something up. This is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but I still see people asking about it, how to wick it. It's a pretty common occurrence anymore. Every time an RTA comes out, somebody wants to know how to wick it because they all wick a little bit differently. There's no one right answer. If you have a different wicking solution, feel free to share it. I've just found that this works, so I am using this technique. I left this too long. This is what I get for not actually measuring on this side. Still too long. What is going on here? It's because the coil's off center. That's why. That will work. And just like that, we've got her wicked up. Let me put some juice on here and we'll test fire it. Alright, I got some Massacre milk from Nightmare on Vape Street. I post a lot for them on my Instagram. They sponsor my comp team. Just wet this cotton up. As I'm wetting it, I'm making sure I'm pushing it back into these channels and down into the little juice well area, just because I don't want them coming out. Now, another thing to take note of, because it is a top airflow system, if you can get the coils up a little bit higher, you will get it closer to that airflow and you will get more flavor out of it. There we go. Okay, I wiped it down. We're not touching, we're close, but we're not touching. There we go. Working nice. Now we're going to put the chimney portion back on, just like so. Next we are going to go ahead and put the glass piece back on. Now the juice overflowed a little bit, so that went on nice and easy. Really, really easy. Put this O-ring back in like that. And then we need, where is it? There it is. This top cap. Now I'm going to put a little bit of juice. In here first to just sort of lube it up a little bit. There we go. Top cap. Come on, quit fighting me. There we go. Fights that gasket a little bit. Now you can fill it up. Now if you want, just like so. It's actually easier to fill it up without this ring on here, but it is up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to fill it up this way because it's quicker and it won't take me an hour to do it on video. Good enough. Good enough. Now, this also has some adjustability to your airflow. You want this to line up with those slots on the top chimney there. If you see it. It should still function even if it doesn't line up, because there is an O-ring. It does raise it up a little bit, but I just like to line it up anyway because maybe I've got OCD. I don't know. Just seems like this would function much better. Next we're going to get our AFC ring and put it on there. Make sure that the slots, these airflow slots here, are pointed down and towards the other slots. Which cap do I want to use? Next is the cap. We will use this nice Delrin chuff tip here that I have somewhat mixed feelings about because the shape is kind of weird for me. there you have it. And hold on, my O-ring is pushed down. Built, filled, and ready to vape. Let's go back up top and we'll talk about it and we'll vape on it a little bit. Alright guys, that was the up close and breakdown with the TFMT from Vaperz Cloud. Now, you saw the breakdown, you saw the way I wick it. Some really key notes, things to think about. One, if you're not getting the kind of flavor out of this you think you should be getting, bring your coils up a little bit. The airflow comes straight down towards the coils and comes up to the chimney. So if your coils are down really low, you're not getting direct airflow to the coil. It's going to bypass it quite a bit and it's going to come straight up the chimney. You're going to get it really watered down with just regular old air. So keep that in mind if you're not getting the kind of flavor you're used to. It is a decent sized build deck. It's not nearly as big as like the 30mm VCMT deck. It is a 4-post. I think that has a lot to do with it versus the 2-post deck. It is considerably shorter. There is a shorty kit for the VCMT. I don't have it on here, but you can see the size difference between the VCMT and the TFMT. It's noticeable. The other weird thing is this bottom deck is so short. It was much shorter than I expected even after seeing the pictures. I'm not 100% sold on this particular chuff cap just because I'm not a big fan of the tapered chuff caps as much. But it's growing on me, I guess. Like I said, the 510 does fit into that other tip, the other cap, but I still can't figure out if that piece is supposed to come out or not. It doesn't seem like it does. This is going to be much more leak resistant than the VCMT was because a lot of people had seeping issues or leaking issues out of the airflow or around the bottom. It would just leave, you know, juice on top of the mod. The airflow is at the top, so it's going to be really difficult to come out of the sealed bottom unless you have a leak through one of the gaskets somewhere. So like I said, if you have leaking issues, seeping issues, check your gaskets. There are a lot of them in this tank, so definitely double check that. There are different ways to wick this. This is just the way I use. It has worked for me, so I'd recommend at least starting off that use something that you know will work first and then work with it from there till you get it exactly how you want it. All in all, this thing has been enjoyable. I think I still prefer the 2-post build deck in the VCMT personally. 4-post was never really my go-to, but it really hasn't been too bad for a 4-post. The shortness of the tank is appealing because the other one, the VCMT, man, it is a tall tank. It really is. It stands up. I think it's almost about the size. It's just a little bit shorter than the actual RX itself, so it was a lot to carry in your pocket. This is a lot easier size-wise. Again, there is a shorty kit for that, but the flavor, as long as you keep the coils up high enough, is good. If you get the coils down too low, you really notice that flavor start to fall off the lower they go. Vapor production has been really good. Even off short little hits, density's there. You just gotta make sure too, again, you keep these airflow slots lined up. It can be a little bit of a pain, but you start to figure it out. As long as you get this top ring sort of close and then just line up the little knurled slots, you'll know that you're wide open. Now, you know, let me show you. So I'm going to take the top cap off. This locks that ring down. So as long as this is on there, that excuse me, that ring won't move as much. So you look at the 2 slots there, and you look at the 2 slots here. Now I'm going to line them up as best as I can, like so, and then I'm going to just slightly adjust. You see how the knurling is a little bit off? I'm just going to slightly adjust it till that knurling is lined up, and now I know that I'm at the wide open setting on it. Everything else you're going to have to play with a little bit. And then the cap goes on and locks it in place. So there you have it. The machine quality's been pretty good except for that one spot. That was the only spot that I found those burrs. It is kind of a hard recessed area, harder to get to, but just double check it. Other than that, it's been great. It's been a really fun vape. The top airflow stuff is coming back in a big way with a lot of things. I have another one coming up here soon that we'll be doing. So yeah, I've really been enjoying it. It's a good tank. Again, one little machining issue. Keep your coils high to get your flavor out of it, and check your wicking. My wicking, it squeezes the juice out when you put that top cap down because I didn't get it packed in there well enough. I went a little bit light on the wicking, which is what I suggest. If you usually wick really tight, take a little bit extra cotton out. It's going to save you some hassles in the long run. It's going to really help improve the flavor out of this, because if you wick too tight, it's not going to keep up as well, because the amount of open area for the juice to flow into to wet the wick is pretty limited. You can't actually even really see the cotton when it's all put together. So all in all, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Like, subscribe, it helps me out. If you have any questions, comments, anything I didn't address, leave it in the comments down below, and I would do my best to get to them. I'm behind right now. I need to catch up. I will link to the Vaperz Cloud website. I don't know. I think they might be out of these, but I will link to it in the description so you'll know where to get it from. As always, I hope to see you guys again soon. Till next time, suck, blow, and keep on vaping.